Hello, I'm Simulated Erk and welcome back to Simulated Erk Train Sim World. We are again on the London Underground. We are at Elephant and Castle Station and heading all stations to Harrow and Wealdstone. So let's get right into it. Now, I have found out by watching some YouTube videos that if I go over to the other side, we'll unlock the doors on the right. If I get out of the seat and if I go up here to this winder, that is how I can change the destination blind. So we have to... Oh, it even rotates and it even... Elephant and Castle. It'll probably be Harrow and Wealdstone. There we go. So we should have it set now. We'll get back in the seat. What do I do then? We'll get back in the seat. Load our passengers. And let's take off. I gotta reset the audible warning button over here. And let's apply some power and let's get moving. One thing that I did learn on a YouTube video from the developers was that how to change that destination blind. So you go up to the windy thing, then you press the button, and then you use the slider to slide your destination. Oops. Just a slow start out of Elephant and Castle. So we'll see that as we get into the it. Another thing I discovered that I was wondering about at the end of the last episode is how the marker lights work at the back and the front of each train. When you take the control key out, it'll put the red marker lights on. When you turn it on, it will know that you're in control at that end, and then I can turn the white marker lights on, so you don't physically, like I would have to, actually change from white to red or vice versa. So we can crank up the speed a little bit now. Now hopefully this has worked. I've actually turned off what I saw described on the developer stream as the landing lights. Possibly tongue-in-cheek, the landing lights when you arrive at the station to show you where to stop. So we're approaching Lambeth North, which is our first station. So now you can see that there's no landing lights. You can actually see the tracks as you're coming in. Probably take me a couple of stations just to get up to speed. I have actually been flying simulated aircraft in Simulated Erk Flight Simulator. Bit too hard. That was not good. As I said, I'll get into a routine in a couple of stations, I'd reckon. So I've got my yoke all set up, and I was flying around in my simulated Cessna 172. So I gave myself about half an hour break, and now we're recording this episode. Waterloo next. So 20 mile an hour speed limit, going up to 25 shortly, so we'll stay here, maybe just go into parallel now, just crank it up a little bit and then we'll go back and we'll just be in release and running, or off and release as it calls it here, until the speed goes up. Still got a little while to go before Waterloo. Just a little bit of power. We'll release there. Waterloo should be approaching shortly. There's the approach to Waterloo. Just a little bit more power, just to quicken up the approach just that little bit. Start to put some brake on, off and release briefly, put some brake back on, so it gives us this little target payment which I can also turn off. Oops, just a little bit short. So now if I go out, camera 4, camera 2, can I, maybe if I had a little bit more room at the front I could actually see our indicator, but we'll worry about that when we get outside a little bit more. We'll lock our doors now. Embankment next. Just after 5 PM for this scenario. 20 mile an hour speed limit again. Speed limit has gone up to 30 miles an hour. Station approaching now, just that little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. And embankment we can pretty much power all the way to there. Start to shut off now. A little bit of brake, a little bit more brake. Starting to come down now. Back off the brake a little bit. Just finishing it off right at the end there. Might have been a bit too aggressive on the brake. And now we'll come in and we'll end up on the spot. Now we need more room to go around the front. We'll do that a little bit later on. Loading passengers, locking our doors. Important to get away swiftly after the station stop. Only a short distance to Charing Cross. Basically don't have to worry about the speed limit here because we won't really have time to hit 30 miles an hour before we get to Charing Cross. Although there is a 20 coming up, but I'll have to start braking soon for the station anyway. A little bit of brake, coming in nicely. Off and release. Nicely done. Piccadilly Circus next. So we're on a 20-mile-an-hour speed zone now. The next 2 miles. Piccadilly Circus coming up shortly, just around the corner. So we're just coasting now because we're almost at the speed limit. Just a little bit of power, but not much now. We are going slightly uphill. Might just give it just a little bit of power just to help up that hill. So we'll just roll in nicely, Piccadilly Circus. As is the case on London Underground, a lot of the inner city underground stations especially have their own real personality, which is awesome to see. Oxford Circus. Running pretty well, not running in fractionally late. Driving well at the moment. We are at the speed limit. So we'll just apply a little bit of brake and just release it now. A little bit of power. They could really call that a low power or minimum power instead of shunt, because you're not just shunting in that power, in that notch, despite the name. Minimum power is usually industry standard now, or there's a separate shunt mode and minimum power, so they're different. They're different in some modern trains. Okay, we can increase now because the speed limit has gone up to 30 miles an hour. Oxford Circus coming up shortly. Brakes here. Yeah, we can back it off a little bit aggressive there at the end, but as I've said before, it doesn't. Okay. So there's a good view of the monitors and the clock there. I was hoping to see the platform. There's a good shot of out the window. So lock the doors on the left. Regent's Park next. .20-mile-an-hour speed limit now. The speed limits do constantly change, and in real life they can change that often. So your road knowledge really helps in knowing where the speed zones are and how you drive in those particular speed zones. We are going down, even though it might not be immediately obvious. We are going down downgrading. Yeah, we might need to put a little bit of brake on just to control things, just that little bit. Speed zone will be coming up shortly to 35, but that'll be after Regent's Park. A little bit more power, but not much. Now it's gone up to 30. Give it a bit more oomph. Couple of notches of brake, coming in nicely, take one of the notches off, go back to release and running. Whoops, wrong way. Crap, mark that one up. It's looking good then for a minute. Then I went too far. Took too much brake off and then started in the power band. A little bit more power, not much. Oh, that seems a bit rough. Baker straight now, we'll just, oh, we almost came to a stop. Let's have a look. That's Baker Street. Couple of little oopsies, but apart from that, this trip's been going very well so far. In between games, I will turn that marker in the centre of the screen off. not saying that this is the case here, but sometimes when you're driving, you might have trouble with a particular station or a station that you approach maybe slower than others. You know, it might be a difficult approach, so you might approach it a little bit slower. Not saying that that's the case here, but that's what can happen. Edgware Road next. Back further. Too hard, too hard, too hard. Came in way too hot then. Now, realistically, I'm not supposed to open the doors in the tunnel. The game gets confused if you overshoot a station and then don't stop. I learned that the hard way on the last lot of episodes recorded. Wasn't my best stop. Thought that I'd try and hit the platform a little bit harder, and that backfired. Uh, 20 mile an hour speed limit coming up soon. Zone coming up, so we'll reduce the speed, and we've done a good job of that. Relatively slow speed approach to Paddington compared to previous. Still powering halfway on the platform, and because we came in slower, it really did a good job of reducing speed there. The brakes. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be looking at those monitors and then readjust and look forward. Speed zone change soon, but not yet. So we'll stick right on that 20 for the moment. Warwick Avenue is our next stop, so we have to stick on this 20. increased up to 35, so we can increase our speed. Couple of notches of brake. Back off that brake now. Warwick Avenue. Maida Vale next. Oh, I just noticed up the top that you can actually see what destination you've got on your destination display. If you have a look at the carriage number 3256 and look to the right hand side of that, you'll see Harrow and Wheatlestone, which is where we're heading. Gilbert Park next. I was watching a replay of a developer stream this morning, and a lot of people in the tunnel were saying in the chat room, "Oh, the underground in between stations, it's so dark." Yes, that's because it's what it's really like. Now, sometimes they might use some artificial light if a video is being filmed under there or something like that, or whatever. But if it's just day-to-day operation, if it's day-to-day trains rather than, say, maintenance, where it's lit up like a Christmas tree, this can be how dark it is, if not darker, underground. And you have these really bright sections of the stations You have these bright station sections. If you don't get your train exactly right position, you can't see the monitor unless you lean forward or move backwards or do something to change your field of vision. So you're in this really bright section, and then straight away you go into this tunnel here. Queen's Park is our next stop. So you're in a dark section here, and then soon we'll come out of the underground section into an above ground section at Queen's Park. And it might have been some time that you've actually seen in this situation what the weather is actually doing out there. 15 section coming up as we come out. So you come out to here, and it might have been, say you've already doing it, like you've just done a trip from Queen's Park to Elephant and Castle, and then you're probably on the same train or a different train back to Queen's Park. You might not know what it's been like outside for a fair period. You know, it might come to you as a real shock what it is actually like. You know, it might have been sunny when you left Queen's Park before, but now you're coming back to it and it's raining or it's dark because it's that time of day. So a low speed approach into Queen's Park, so we'll just let it roll in. Let it roll in now. So now we should be able to go outside. There we are. Do 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 do. I did that. Harrow and Weedstone. I'll show you the doors closing. That's sweet. Oops, wrong button. That's sweet. We'll get back in the cab. Ken's all going next. So, slow speed under here. Go outside, probably not right now. Oh yes, we can. It's a different view. I'll go back in the cab. Slow speed, not much you can do about it. It'll go up to 15 in a moment. relatively slow section to Kensal Green. Now we can pick things up. We're fully into the 45 miles an hour now, so we can really crank it up. The overground sections or the above ground sections tend to be a little bit further apart as we're moving more into suburban London now. Too hard on the brakes, too hard. See passengers getting on and off. Wilson Junction next. Then you've just come out of the underground section and then you come into a small tunnel. Change coming up shortly. Just a little bit over. Rectify that quickly. Just a little bit of brake. Speed starting to reduce nicely. Maybe that's all we need. Just release slightly. Well, release briefly, I should say. Nicely done. It's a wider shot.
leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Zone coming up soon, very soon. There we go. So we're going downhill, now we're going quickly uphill. Get into the brakes. Snowbridge Park next. Fun fact, speaking of the destination indicators, and it really does make sense when you see that they're the old blinds that you have to rotate, is that say when we arrive at Harrow at the end, before we leave this cab we'd have to set the blind up for the next one on the way back, which would would be Elephant and Castle. And then when we get up the other end, we'd have to change the other one as well to Elephant and Castle, because they should be the same on the back and the front. Whereas modern systems, it's all electronically linked. Alright. Coming in nicely. Release. Start to brake hard. Maybe we braked a little bit too late, but our only problem is that we're not in line with the monitor, so it can be a little bit hard. A little bit hard to see there. The fact that we pulled up on the platform at all. Wembley Central next. So, really stretched the legs now, 45 miles an hour, a mile to go to Wembley Central, our next stop. Now Now you can see the stadium, but I can't remember which side it is. It's after this portal here. We're back into our 40 zone. Power up a bit early. And too aggressive on the brakes. Wembley Central, one of the more modern stations on this section of the line, partly as a result of the nearby football stadium. Brake. Again, not, well, that's probably not too bad actually, in terms of being able to see the monitor. I can just turn my head and accidentally happened the door's on the other side.
safety announcement. Exemptions permitted to cycle, skateboard, or
Doors on the right are still open. There we go, it's better. Not perfect, but much better than I had done, that I saw myself doing in the first episode that we did of London Underground Bakerloo line on Train Sim World 2. I was highly frustrated. It wasn't in a good place at all. This is much better. To next. Overall, I've enjoyed this. Don't forget to keep your eye out on Simulated Erk, simulatederkgaming.com. Trade simulator episodes going well. You'll also be noticing the German ICE and Talent 2 in relation to Train Sim World 2 flight simulators just starting to kick off. It's all happening. Also be featuring slices of real life as well. We'll feature one at the end of this episode once we get to our destination. Time to back off the power, time to get on the brakes. Coming in nicely. Time to back off the brakes now that we've done most of our braking. And then we'll just need a little bit of brake to get us to the right spot. What are you doing standing up there? Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Passengers are reminded that smoking is prohibited at all stations.
Heron Weirdstone is our next and final stop. Also, what you can find once you get into these above ground sections is that the speed limits might not necessarily change as much as they do in the underground. One station to come, green light at the green light coming up, green signal. Okay, red signal coming up for the next one, so we need to slow down and slow down 8 knots. That should be the one at the end of the platform at Harrow. Never take a chance with the signal at the end of the platform when you know it's now. How you would know it's red based on that previous signal, I've got no idea. So we'll just roll in nice and slow. And we have arrived. Here we are at Harold Wheelstone. This train has terminated all customers. Please leave the train here. This train is now out of service. Change here. All customers, please leave the train. It wants us to load passengers again. Run complete. How did we do? I think we did overall. There was a couple of minor screw-ups in terms of what can happen in this game. Let's see, how'd we do? Are you going to tell me? Or do I have to guess? Here we go. How did we go? 58 minutes. Gold medal performance by Simulated Erk. We are now level 9, level 10, London Underground level 8, Tube Stock level 10. 58 minutes, 14 miles. I walked 2 yards. And a gold star performance and my high score today. That's what that diamond suggests. My high score so far on this route. So overall, pretty good. pretty good. So we shall continue. We won't be doing that just yet. We'll be saying see you later. But first of all, we'll present to you a slice of life, and then it is bye-bye for now. I'm Simulated Erk. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Don't forget, stay safe out there. Stay behind the yellow line. And don't forget, tracks are for trains. Bye for now.